Hey everyone, this is NHL News Sports. We're back on the video. Today we're talking about the NHL draft, a mock draft I'm going to do with the first 16 teams that have not made the playoffs, that will able to be in the lottery, on the draft lottery, and who turned out to move up and move down. But since that has passed, Montreal gets number 1, New Jersey gets number 2, 3 is Coyotes, 4 is the Kraken, 5 is the Flyers, 6 Blue Jackets, 7 Ottawa, 8 Red Wings, 9 is the Sabres, 10 is the Ducks, 11 is the Sharks, 12 is the Blue Jackets again, 13 is the Islanders, 14 is the Winnipeg Jets, 15 is the Canucks, and then 16 again is the Buffalo Sabres. That, of course, that was the pick for Jack Eichel. Vegas gives up the first round pick. And of course, that Blue Jackets one for the Hawks originally was for Seth Jones, so the Blue Jackets were able to get that really good pick at 6 overall. It was a top 3 protected, but that's not going to be possible. But still, top 6 is going to sting the Hawks for sure. A team that's trying to restart things and get this team back to a great team. So, let's get started with what I have here of my mock draft. Starting up at number 16. We are going to do number 16 to number 1. Of course, this is not my final mock draft, so this is always going to change. I like to expand it over 16. Try to go to 32 eventually, but right now, we're going to do top 16 for a couple of videos. So, start out at number 16. Isaac Howard. Now, Isaac Howard's a good, forward. I really like what Isaac Howard has. He's a left winger. He's from Wisconsin, but in the U.S. U18 tournament, he had 11 points in 6 games, 37 points in 27 games with the USHL, with 11 goals, 26 assists. And then in the USDP, in 60 games, he had 33 goals, 49 assists for 82 points in 60 games. So this guy's a winger, a scoring winger who also can get some points at the same time. So, Buffalo, that would be a good pick for Buffalo. Really, it would be. All right, moving on to now the Canucks. You have Elias Solomonson, however you say that name, but he's a good defenseman. He's a right shot defenseman. He is Swedish, and he played in the SHL. No points. It's kind of like that's the top, of course, Swedish league. So he's getting there. He's working at it, which is fine. He got some time there. On the World Championship, he had 1 point in 5 games, but in the couple other Swedish leagues that equivalent to around here. He had 22 points in 35 games, 11 goals, 11 assists. Vancouver could use some solid defense. Draft some guys. That's the best way to get some good defense. Draft these guys, and this could be a good right shot defenseman for the Canucks, knowing they could use some for sure. All right, moving on to now the Winnipeg Jets. Moving on to Casey, and Casey really has he's a right shot defenseman also, and this is what we're going to pick and also use a right shot defenseman here. In the U18 tournament with the World Juniors, he has 6 points in 6 games plus 5. Also in the USHL this season, in 17 games, 3 goals, 10 assists 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points plus 15. That's really good to see. And in USDP, he had 33 points, so plus 32. So that's really good to see. They could use a guy like this to add to the defense. They have the offense caliber type of team. They could use some in defense. They have Ville Heinola coming up pretty soon. Maybe next year he'll be ready. But add Casey to the prospect system would be really good for the Winnipeg Jets. They could really use it. All right, moving on to the Islanders. Noah Oslin is center for the. He's also Swedish, and Islanders could use a guy like this too. He played 11 games in the SHL, no points. It's okay. He did play in the World Juniors, 10 points in 6 games. Good to see there. 42 points in 32 games in one of the Swedish leagues, lower Swedish leagues, which is good to see. A guy who can get some points. He's a center, skilled, very skilled of a center for sure. That would be a great pick for him with the Islanders. Good fit too. Alright, moving on to now that you went to the Blue Jackets. Frank Nassau is the next one. He's a winger here. He's a really good winger, actually. He gets some good, lots of goals here. Look at the USHL. The best one right there is 35 points in 24 games, 15 goals, 20 assists. This is a good winger, adding to their team. He has moved up in the ranks lately, so that's good to see. In the USDP, he actually had 70 points in 56 games and a plus 38. So this could be a really solid winger for this Blue Jackets, a team that is, adding. They had Sillinger, Kielmans. They had last year. They had some really young guys coming up here. So adding a winger like this would be good. Add to the young team, and they can develop a guy like that for sure. Moving on to the next one for the San Jose Sharks at number 11. Yurov. And Yurov is from Russia. He's, he played in the KHL this year, actually. No points in 21 games. That's like the top Russian league. That's like the NHL, almost equivalent to it. So that is tough, but the NHL is kind of like the AHL. 36 points in 23 games plus 22. He's a good winger. And, the Sharks can really go for anything here. They can use some goaltending. Young goalie. Like a really young goalie. I know they have Hill and Kraken right now on the relatively young side, but some defense or some offense. Winger would be nice. Yurov would be an interesting one. Could bring some really good talent to that San Jose lineup. Whoever's going to be the new GM of the Sharks, trying to find one. We'll see who does become. Alright, moving on to number 10, the Anaheim Ducks. It's a long name, but it's, however you say that. It's hard to say. Still trying to learn how to say his name, but he actually had cancer, which, delayed how he would play and all of that. But he is a player that has tremendous skill. He would drop in the draft because he wouldn't be playing, but hopefully he can get back to hockey. If he does, the Ducks get an absolute steal at number 10. Adding to the team, and they already have so many young guys that I thought the Ducks would be a good fit for the to pick up a guy like him, so they can build their team, and they don't have to wait on him rush him along. They can just be like, hey, take your time. We got Zegras, we have Perot in the line, in the prospect system. They got a lot of great guys, defense, offensively, goaltending. So they can wait if it takes some time, but if he turns into a really good gem, I think that's exactly what the Sabres were like there, for sure. So, let's move on to the next one. Moving on. Let's see, who are we at now? Number 9 for the Buffalo Sabres. Joakim Kemell. Now, he is the guy that actually has some tremendous skill. He's up, and then he's down, up and down, but it really shows that he has some skill. He has tremendous skill. And adding that to the Sabres would be a really good pick. Someone who can, be that offensive on the wing, for the Sabres would be great. It would just add, Jack Quinn in the system. You got Kemell would be great. This team actually has bounced back this year and looked pretty good. It's been really good to see. Adding a guy like him, and they still get a really good pick, and just kind of develop him into a really good top 6 winger could be a possibility. This whole top 20 of the draft is going to be really good. So, Kemmel could be a really interesting pick and high potential, high reward for sure. Alright, moving on to the Red Wings. David Joracek. David Joracek is the second best defenseman in the draft. No, if the Red Wings want to add more to the defense, they can. He is from the Czech Republic, and in the World Juniors he had 1 point, but another league he did play in, he had 11 points in 29 games, but he is a really good, solid defenseman. A right shot too, brings it, which would be really good. He could actually contend with Nemec, who is not on the list as of yet, but really is a solid defenseman. And if Steve Weiss sees a good option, he might be the guy. He really would be a really good pick for the Red Wings, for sure. I don't know if he would go all the way to number 8. Of course, like I said, this is going to change again every time I do this, but we'll see what happens. Moving on to number 7. Great pick, yo. This would be a hands-down fantastic pick for the Ottawa Senators. Connor Geekie. He is a good, big center. 6'3". This guy can score. He played in the Winnipeg Ice in the WHL. 70 points in 63 games. Let's just say this. The Senators need a good pick here. Last year, I did think they blew it with the Ty Boucher pick at number 10. I don't know what they would think of. There was other better players out there that picked Boucher instead. Make no sense whatsoever. But Geeky down the middle would be absolutely what they need. They need a center like that. They need a Connor Geeky like that. Or maybe David Joracek would be a fantastic pick there too. You never know. Either or really would be a great pick for the Ottawa Senators. They're in a good spot here. Moving on to now the Blue Jackets. Moving on to the Blue Jackets, Brad Lambert. He's a guy supposed to be a couple years ago, first overall, and then he dropped and he didn't play as good. But Brad Lambert is a guy. He is Finnish, just like the GM Jarmo Kekalainen now. He is also Canadian too, but he did play in Finland. He's a good winger. He's a solid winger. If you have Nassau and you have Lambert, you're adding some good depth to that team and that good core to that top 6. You're going to have a really solid top 6 between Nassau, Lambert, Sillinger, like a Marchenko. That would be a really good offensive dynamic team that could be a threat in the future for sure. And a really solid team. So, let's move on to the next one. At number 5. Matthew Savoy. Now, Matthew Savoy is a guy that I just feel like the Flyers would be picking. Savoy there, he's from Alberta, Canada, playing the Winnipeg Ice. Also, 90 points in 65 games. He's an offensive player. Really good dynamic center. The Flyers could use a dynamic center like that. They could also use defense. But whatever is best available, I think Savoy is exactly what the Flyers would go for, and that'll be a great pick for them to pick. I think Savoy is a great, forward, and could really change his team. Either he plays next year, which I doubt he would, or send him back. But he is a really solid center for sure. Moving on to number 4. Simon Nemec. And Simone Nemec is the best defenseman in this draft, and I think Seattle Kraken will be picking him. They added Matthew Beniers last year at second overall. Now they also added second round Vico Evans. I think Nemec would be a perfect fit for this. You look at what he was able to do, just a great puck moving guy, solid defenseman on the point. This could be the franchise guy on the point, really could be. And they could use that, I know there's been rumors about a top defenseman going to Seattle, like a John Klingberg, a Chris Letang type of guy. What if one of those guys did sign there, and then you sign or you draft Simone Nemec there too? Nemec can have a good, someone to look up to there and could work with, if you sign Letang, he's going to want a long-term deal, some type of a long-term deal, not too long, obviously. Same thing with Klingberg, he's going to want a long-term deal, but, I'm sure Nemec would be in the NHL by then, or a rookie, or something like that can learn from those guys. But I do think Nemec would be a solid player that Kraken should definitely go for next. Alright, let's go on to the next one. At number 3. Slafkovsky. Now, Slafkovsky for the Coyotes would be great. This guy's 6'4", a big winger on the wing. This guy's, a big winger. He has a great shot. From Slovakia. He has played in the TPS in the Liga, 10 points in 31 games. He also played in the U20 tournament, 18 points in 11 games. He just scored on the penalty shot yesterday, I think. Forehand, backhand, this massive guy. I was like, wow, he's massive. And this could be great for the Coyotes. At number 3, I know it's a disappointment. We didn't get number 1. We were one of the worst teams. But, hey, Slafkovsky getting number 3. Remember, Coyotes are still not going to be that team making the playoffs. They're still rebuilding next year, maybe even the year after, 2023 and 2024, I'm going to say. 2023 is still going to be a fantastic pick. But as Slafkovsky, adding a big forward to that top 6, that is going to be a great pick for sure. At number 2, we got the New Jersey Devils, and I heard they wanted to trade the first round pick, but now knowing they're at number 2, I would draft someone. They wanted to trade it for a top 6 guy, really solid, but at number 2, I think you gotta go for this guy, unless you get a really bargain here. And that's dynamic, small player, but dynamic Logan Cooley. That is an absolute fantastic set of hands he has. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but, 10 points in the World Juniors. Looking at also the USHL, 36 points in 24 games. USDP, 75 points in 51 games. But this guy can score. Very dynamic, fun to watch. He's that type of guy. He's fantastic, offensively dynamic guy. And you could have Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Logan Cooley down the middle. I'm going to say Pavel Zacha could be the expendable guy here, the trade, but, I think they already want to trade Zacha anyways. He has some, some value, obviously, Zacha, but we'll see what happens. Logan Cooley, I think, should go to the Devils. Really good pick here. Try to debate with number 1, but number 1 is not going to change, and that's going to be Shane Wright. Shane Wright is obviously number 1 for the Montreal Canadiens. This is your center. This is like a Nick Suzuki. Plays just like him. I don't like to compare too many players, but you think of like the Bruins, Patrice Bergeron, and when they used to have David Krejci, that 1-2 center. How does that work? For years. It's been there, the 1-2, centers there, really, really good. Having those two guys. So having like a Suzuki right down the middle would be great. Absolutely would be fantastic to have that. And Shane Wright is a great player. He can score, has the right shot, he can play, he can win face-offs. His skating's a little slow, but he's a great just center, and that's the guy you want. For sure. Absolutely. And Montreal would love to have this guy. They need a guy like this, kind of like this top 6 center. Montreal has looked for this. I think in the 2018 draft, he used to be Kraken. Pick him number 3rd. How's that turned out, Hurricanes offer sheeted him, and goodbye he goes, because no one's going to pay $6 million for him. $6.1 million for him, right? So, Shane Wright, if he turns out to be that guy for them, that would be great. For sure. And he is a great offensive center, and he is the one across the board at number 1. Even though Logan Cooley can kind of contend for that, and Slavkovsky for number 1, debated. Number 1 should always be Shane Wright at this moment, right? And, Montreal, I know people saying, Montreal could trade the first overall pick, because Ken Hughes said, we'll listen to the calls, but it doesn't mean that he's going to trade it, Why wouldn't you listen to the calls? At least you'll listen to them and see what they got. If it's something that you can't, you have to trade because it's such a good deal, then you would. But if it's not, then you'll keep it for sure. I think they keep it for sure. So thanks for watching NHL News Sports. I'll see you next video. Bye.